All right, thanks very much, Dan. And as I mentioned, we have a quick bonus talk right before we dive into further discussions. This is from Andrew Tein, who is the Vice President for Global Government Affairs at Wiley. And thanks for joining us on short notice, Andrew, for a short talk.
Okay, thank you, Justin. And thank you to Ann and BIDS for the invitation to be here. Justin called this a bonus session, so I hope you feel like it's a bonus and not detention. So, as Justin mentioned, I lead our Global Government Partnerships Division and am part of an open science team whose role is to work across the community to drive forward the mission, to lead, to experiment, and to do whatever we can to facilitate. And my role is to work with research funders worldwide to put in place enabling policies. And Wiley's approach to open science and how we're trying to do things has been shaped in large part by our role as the world's largest publisher on behalf of nonprofit scientific, technical, and medical societies. And here are a few. And you'll see that across our 1,200 or so partners, 800 who are publishing partners, we have this privilege to help them in publishing and to help support their mission. But in terms of open science, we have this opportunity to guide and sometimes to push them forward. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So I was reviewing the BIDS website, and I promise I didn't take this from the site, but one of the most important things that you guys are doing are trying to advance open collaboration to drive forward discovery, and this is our version of Dan's maybe whiteboard at a high level. And the heart of science has always been about mass collaboration, and as the internet mechanisms in research communication evolve, we have to transform research communication. I think that's why we're all here. What does that future look like? It's a future where data availability is systematic, where annotation and current systems need to be broken out of their silos, and where we are doing something meaningful to address the reproducibility crisis. So all of the panelists today have outlined very clearly the expansive view of open science. So I'll just dive down into two initiatives. The first is around open data. We did a survey of 3,000 researchers last year worldwide to understand what was driving their behavior around data sharing and just data management generally. I'd be happy to share that with you. Of course, it might be a little bit depressing when you read it, but it gave us a lot of insight into the importance of changing behavior and the importance of making things easy. That's been critical for open access and continues to be, and that will be critical for open science. So earlier this year, we announced our partnership with Figshare, and what we'll be doing is building into our author submission process sort of a check-the-box system. If they want to share their data, then we will deposit it for free, working with Figshare. And I'll show you and this is actually a beta version of the platform. You'll see the article is the root, but the idea is to have the supplemental information and other types of objects that the author wants to include fully available. And this is just the start of the iteration. And so where are we going next? This is part of a multi-pronged effort. First is to have the platform and to make it as easy as possible. The other is to put in place the enabling policies that I mentioned. So at the journal level, that means many more journals that are requiring data sharing as a publication requirement. And we'll have our first rollout of a few hundred journals next year. And the idea is also to work with our society partners to take them forward. As I think you all know, though, that can be a process, and each discipline community has their own needs. So at a minimum, because we have these partners and because we're engaged with them, we can help to facilitate the dialogue within the community, within the governments, among all stakeholders. In terms of government, and this is where I've been working most closely, it's about changing incentives. Right now, there are the emergence of data sharing policies. Really, they're much more data management. We're not even at the data sharing policy part yet. So the idea is to bring together good thinkers and to figure out how to incentivize researchers. And finally, I think it's just being at the table and partnering with organizations who are part of the movement, like ORCID, like many of you in the room, to model the way. We just signed up last week to the Transparency and Openness Promotion Guidelines that also started here at Berkeley. So that's a start, and we'll be continuing to do that moving forward. So the second initiative, very quickly, is just around open standards and open annotation. We will be moving to a new authoring system, but the point of the open annotation movement is to allow comments by authors, reviewers, editors, and readers to become citable objects so that you could trace this whole knowledge graph, each peer reviewer coming in, what changes are they making, changes that the author has been making to data all across the chain. And this will be an open source, open code platform that we're building on and we're very excited about. But it is, again, about being committed to trying things and experimenting. And hopefully, through a combination of these things, and I think the communities working together, publishers, funders, librarians, scholars, to be able to tackle the crisis of reproducibility. And I look forward to the questions that will come up today and help to drive forward our thinking. Thank you.